When it comes to products and home, I'll combine these two for the sake of time because I know you're very busy. But the concept of products and home, you're talking about all the crap that's on my face right now, our beauty products, our deodorant, our toothpaste, our hairspray, the stuff we clean our home with, the detergents, the stuff you mop your floor with, all of that, correct? I'm getting this.
Yeah, none of it has any, guardrails. There's no guardrails for these products. There's no required testing. There's no special body of government that's making sure that what we buy off the shelf is safe for us. There's absolutely none of that. And I think that was like one of the most difficult thing to wrap my head around at the beginning of this process, and spent so many years trying to figure out if this is real or not, and why I didn't learn this in training. And so, for sure, it's a big topic, and there's things that we buy that we were been marketed to. Like, why do we need a carpet cleaner, a sink cleaner, a surface cleaner, a window cleaner, an oven cleaner, a drain cleaner? Like, why do we need all of those different cleaners? Well, we've been marketed to think we need those, when in fact, there are probably three ingredients that can, and I have, by the way, do-it-yourself ingredients to make these simple surface cleaners and simple oven. You don't need a lot of these synthetic compounds to get the job done. And I think once we step back and go less products, fewer products, safer products, not only is it cheaper, but it's healthier for us because we absorb these chemicals, even cleaning products, off of surfaces, off of, dust in our home. Our pets lick their paws, our kids lick their fingers and toys. So again, if you don't bring it into your home in the first place, you save money and you're not filling your house with these chemicals that often stay there.
So funny you bring up the pets again, and you told the story about your golden retriever. Years ago, I had a veterinarian named Dr. Karen Becker on, who wrote a book called The Forever Dog.
Yeah.
And she talks all about the chemicals you're spraying in the lawn, the stuff you're putting on the floor, and the ways in which she draws the parallels between human health and animal health. She's like, this is processed food. What is this kibble? What are these chemicals? And it goes through their paws and they're walking around on it all the time. And that was really, wow, so eye-opening for me. Even when I feed the cat now and all of the food is in cans, I'm like, oh my God, no, no way. All the plastic that I know you open. We've all seen that episode of Huberman where he talks about how if you eat canned soup or something for a week, some study showed that your microplastics skyrocketed by like 1,000,000%. And I looked at my cats, I was like, oh shit, everything, it's like all lined in the BPA. So now we make him chicken. But I appreciate that there are other ways forward. There are other brands. You don't have to do that. But the fact that you mention how vulnerable your kids, your animals, by touching these surfaces, going through their skin, breathing it in. Now, for people going, oh my God, this is so overwhelming, you have the 4 A's. So let's just touch on what those mean, because you give it to people very simply and in a very straightforward, accessible way in the book. So what are the 4 A's that you've developed?
Yeah. This has come out of teaching 7th and 8th graders all the way through to doctors. And by the way, they're very much the same in terms of their knowledge base and in terms of their questions, although I would say 7th and 8th graders probably a better question. So, here's the thing, I had to come up with a paradigm that made sense to me and that would actually make people want to make changes that were realistic, right? So here are the 4 A's. The first A is assess. You got to know what the problem is before you can kind of take it on, before you can fix anything, right? So I have a 50-question survey that anyone can take on, do you dry clean your clothes? Do you, filter your water? Do you use perfumes and, spray fragrances? Very simple questions, not judgmental. But it's a way to put 1 point for this, 0 for this, and you add up those 50 question answers, and you get you give yourself a chance to see where you're starting from. And that way you are assessing the problem so that you can make the changes. The second A is avoid or swap, but it's avoid in the book, right?
Yep.
Because you can avoid all those household cleaners. You can maybe avoid some of these chemicals in our products like cosmetics and personal care, like by looking them up on really great resources in the book, like simple stuff. My kids are doing it. So you want to avoid things now that you know where they reside, or You can swap to things that you like and you don't want to lose, and you can just make better choices. The third A is add. And that goes back to that question we were talking about, nutrition, that you talk about all the time. We can take as many chemicals away as we want, but we have to put in nutrition and things that help us at the cellular level to thrive, that humans have needed from a nutritional level for millions of years. We're missing that. We're deficient in a lot of nutrients. And I think we don't know because we're sort of getting by, but we're not, look, busy lives, not access to all the foods we always want. There's lots of reasons, food quality, soil quality. We need to add in nutrients, things like cruciferous vegetables help churn up our detox processes. We want to add in exercise for sweat. We want to add in quality sleep to wash out, all the chemicals around our brain and the lymphatic system. So this add piece, anyone can take on. And it's a piece that makes sense, including, in terms of the whole picture. Right. The last A, which unfortunately, I guess I have to tie to my own behaviors or bad behaviors, if you want to call it, is the allow. It's the colored hair. It's the travel. Yeah, it's the lacrosse game I'm going to go meet my kids on with all the turf. And, it's the birthday cake. It's the things you don't always get to control, even if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. And I think that allow is kind of like in health coaching, as you're aware of.
Oh my God, I was going to say it's the 80-20 rule with food.
Right.
Like it's the glass of wine a couple times a week. It's allowing yourself to have the side of French fries, with the burger, but not having the soda with it. Yeah, you've got to live a little bit. Right. If you can mitigate this, that goes such a long way. Yeah. Anyway, I completely was appreciating the connection there between what I used to do and helping people lose weight.
Right.
Along with removing all of this craziness, but you just can't. And I also experience it personally. Like you go to a dinner and I'm thinking, well, I got the salad, but who knows what the heck is on these vegetables. So you try to eat
can't live that way.
More than not.
Exactly. And that's this whole argument. Like we get more done in a positive direction when we're not regretting our choices, when we're not shunning ourselves, when we're not feeling bad. And I think that psychological piece is such an important piece when it comes to something like this topic, which is very big and very overwhelming, but we have to approach it in a way that makes us successful because the outcomes are good health. The outcomes are either preventing diseases, certainly autoimmune and rheumatologic, but also managing diseases that a lot of us have already. It's not just for the walking well, it's for everyone in between who's managing, trying to maybe get on lower medication, maybe getting off medication, maybe, they're putting these pieces in so that, they're going into a remission of sorts. The idea is that you have more control than you think, and it's at every stage of health and life.
We've talked a little bit about what goes in you, right? Whether you're eating it or it's being absorbed through the lungs and through the skin and so on and so forth.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And make sure to let me know what guests you want to see on in the future.